film suffers because when you get like Hollywood, you have all this auditioning and you're trying to make all these things fit. What you really need to do is get a team together and then redo it. Rewrite the script.
It's totally ass backward.
Because
it never starts that way. It always starts from the ground up with the script and so forth. Doesn't anybody have any questions for anybody? No? Yeah.
Well, I'm actually, I'm an actress and I'm trying to train, I just lost like 40 pounds and I'm trying to transition from, thanks. I'm trying to transition from commercial voiceover, which is what I do now, into film and television shows. But like, where do you find auditions at? Like, I know
where do you live?
Chicago.
Okay.
There's tons of stuff.
There's lots.
Yeah, so like a website you go to or like?
Yes, there is. Actually, there's something called actorsaccess.com.
Actors Access?
Yeah. actorsaccess.com. And they do have, of course, a Chicago site on that. And I believe, no, LA Casting doesn't, don't listen to me, that's LA. But Actors Access. But believe it or not, LA Casting also might have a Chicago section.
Are you absolutely not going to do theater? Huh? Are you absolutely not going to do theater? You're in Chicago.
Local film school.
Maybe.
And don't knock or slight voiceover. Oh my goodness.
Oh no, I love
You
it.
get paid to go to work in your pajamas.
And can I also say this, strictly there's work for everybody. I mean, it's fabulous you lost 40 pounds, so it's fabulous. And there are people that are 50 pounds, heavier than you that work, you'd be surprised that character actors work a lot, and they also work a lot long into their careers, as opposed to the leading punch news. That's over really fast.
Yeah, I mean, and look at, fabulous things on TV, like how realistic would The Office be if everyone looked like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie? How many of us have gone to work in a cubicle with someone like that?
I gotta tell you though, Los Angeles, that's what they look like. They do. And that's, it's like, I don't belong there, but that's what they look like. They really do look like that. These ones, yes.
I'm not a trained actor, but I've done a lot of community theater type work, and I know you said a couple of you said that you've done some stage work. You were originally stage actors. For those of you who have done a lot of film work or who have directed actors, as a person adjusts from doing stage to film, what are the big things that they need to do or that they often fail to do?
I feel like the biggest adjustment that I made from doing stage to doing film was that in stage you get to start at the beginning of the story and go all the way through, and you get the arc every night, and you can build the emotion and you can build the relationships on stage, and you get to do it the whole time. And in film, you just don't. You get to come in, and there are times that you come in, and the last shoot I did, might as well have just been called Sarah Cries a Lot, because I cried like big, huge emotional scenes, and maybe 4 or 5 different big emotional scenes. And in the movie, there's a build-up, and there's the motivation, and when it's cut together, it will look like I took the journey from not being upset all the way up and all the way up to here where I'm sobbing hysterically, but that's in a different location and with a different lighting setup. And so you go in and they go, okay, cry. And so you don't get to have your build. And that is a really big shift for you as an actor. But also, when you do stage and you get to do the whole thing, you get to take it through and you can make little adjustments with your audience feeding you the energy. And in film, everybody is supposed to be really quiet. So you're not getting that kind of immediate, like you don't know, like maybe that line wasn't working, so I'm going to shift it over here. So it's loss of your audience and loss of continuity. So, they might make you walk through the same scene, you do it 6, 7 times in a row. It might not be your fault. It might be that they decided to move the camera, or they decided to, it might be your fault. Sometimes it's my fault. I blew a line, so another actor missed an entrance, something happened, and you do that same scene 6, 7, 8 times. And it's, a little tiny part of it, and you have to
So focus.
You have to be able to focus on that and stay there and know where you are in the story, because you don't have the whole story with you. You haven't done the whole story beforehand, and you're not going to do it afterwards. You have to like find exactly where you are.
Another thing is, when you're on stage, you know, you're playing to the back of the room for sure. You don't want to be doing all this subtle stuff and subtle eyebrow raises and flipping something small, because they're not going to see it. But you got to remember the camera's a lot closer.
Proximity
You
to
don't
the
have
camera.
to shout and project as much whenever you got to be right here.
That's the
Or
biggest
laugh.
thing. That's the biggest thing. Like with stage actors, it's like I think the best thing for a stage actor to do is maybe somehow get to an editing room and see the magic that editing can do. A lot. I mean, of course, performance is important, but it's not always just about you killing it in every scene. Like a lot of actors don't even realize. Like, I mean, I could just stand here. Well, unfortunately, I could just do this and look at somebody, and the camera could be on me, and they could actually cut to that, and they could draw a performance from that. You don't. It sucks, but you don't have to. Like sometimes people, I said earlier, I'm just like, well, I'm in a character. What was I doing before? But then when you're in the scene, sometimes it's listening, because the people aren't always motivation. What's my motivation here? People just react sometimes, and I think if you know your character and know. You know, the mannerism outside in, inside out, and you just listen to people without worrying about trying to be an actor, you know.
Watch Harvey Keitel. He's very good at that. Harvey Keitel is like a blank slate. I mean, there's nothing going on there. But we project like so much onto this, the blankness, that it almost works.
Well, and I've seen some bad acting saved by really good editing, but I've seen some really good acting ruined by some really bad editing. So it can go either way.
We're
Yeah, the actors
project
don't be
over
treated
this
like
lobby.
humans.
Sorry, okay.
It's not about you.
Is there anything when you go to audition, granted, sometimes it takes me another shoot to find out that the director's not in? Are there any red flags? You walk into an audition and you're like, not taking this role.
So their password, hopefully they have. If they don't have any password on YouTube, just wait till they make.
That's not something they're doing in the audition.
No, if they
But
don't,
as an actor, some research.
if they don't look at you ever.
No, they're not that.
If they don't think you ever, when they offer you a role, you turn it down.
No, I don't know. I think it's just, I think you need to know that you're going to be treated like a person with respect. And I mean,
Or they might give you bad or loosened direction.
Right.
Like, okay, give me a Brad Pitt. I mean, well, Brad Pitt's paid on his roles, but that director is, give me a Brad Pitt, and you're like, oh.
I think it's hard to tell. I mean,
I think you go with your instinct. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, I play the woman card. You know when you walk into a room and a guy creeps you out. I mean, don't necessarily run out of the room, but I've seen some creepy directors. And then, you know, like she'd walk in because she's young and pretty. They'd be like, hi. They'd be finding a reason to put their hand on her
And it's
shoulder
not just
and
fancy.
talking about how beautiful, you know, you're just so beautiful. I'm going to make you as. Then you run.
yeah.
You know?
Because they're being filmed, I can't say, but there's a very big director in town that when I first moved to LA, during the scene, he was touching my breast while I was talking to him. Well, honey, this is how I'm really thinking it should be.
Snap.
But this happens all the time with women. I don't know how it is with men, but with women, there's just the horror stories. In fact, I wrote a book, I won't say, anyway, go ahead. No, I can't say it. I can't say it because
Happens
someone will
with
steal
gay
the
men.
title, sorry.
Yeah,
They rarely grab my breath.
They're
lost.
He just left out.
Hands-on. Well, this is what I'm thinking.
And another thing is, we need to, like anybody else, respect boundaries. This didn't happen to me, but I heard about some other, she was a young actress, about 19 or so at the time, and, you know, she's going to go upstairs in a skirt. The guy at the camera, the director's like, yeah, she under her skirt. Like, after the camera, they're like, you don't mind, do you? She's like, well, I guess I'm in the wrong profession if I do. I'm like, no. You don't own me, because I got hired to do a job. Now, if you want to see me in various states of dress, down to my clothes, up my clothes, that's something discussed ahead of time and either decided on, or if we're not a good fit, then we need to find someone else. You don't expect someone to show up at any other job and suddenly be okay with getting groped and undressed. And we're not Well, like I said, if I was gonna,
There's a lot of hookers, but.
if I was gonna be easy, I wouldn't be cheap.
I think it's just like any job. Like, you mean, you can go work somewhere and you know, you have the interview and you take cues, you're actors, you take cues on the person, how is this person responding to you? Hopefully you've done a little research. Do you want to like work with this person? Does it match? Does his work history and videos, does it match up with like this person I'm like having dialogue with? And then you go off your gut instinct. But if you need work, you need a reel, sometimes that motivates you. If you've done enough work and you want to do a little bit of quality control, then you'll do your research.
Effort should just not that big.
Yeah.
It's pros and cons, like if it's a really great role, but the director's not so great, but the role is really good, maybe you'll take it. If it's not really a great role, but the director's good, you might take it. If it's gonna be really good exposure for you, if it's gonna give you fun, if it's gonna be really fun, or if they're gonna pay you a bunch, you know? Like, I mean, it's all about what is important for that particular project, so.
Any other questions? We have to wrap this up. Yes.
I don't even know if you can hear me back.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sing out, Louise.
Project.
All right. I've done acting, mostly theater. I've taken an acting class. I'm not going to go into acting as a profession, but I'm wanting to stay involved with it. And so how would I go about staying involved with it while still, doing?
What do you
side
do?
stuff?
I'm an administrative assistant 40 hours a week.
Yeah, most actors have other jobs. Where do you live?
Urbana, Illinois.
Illinois, okay.
So do you like a film school, a film major? Those like students, they won't pay you. But they'll be happy you're there.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of film schools, probably in that area, at least a few, that you can audition for their projects, things like that. That's one way to stay in. It's, I don't know. I have no regrets about my career. I don't know if anybody else does, but it is a very difficult career.
It can be a very fulfilling hobby.
And and community theater is everywhere. And if somewhere in your blood you find the fun and the pleasure in it, go do it. Go find any project, audition for it, and you'll find you can act throughout your life. And as a male, unfortunately, for others, you can have a longer career as a character actor.
Well, things have changed. Need I say more? The things have, he's right, traditionally, it was gone to noon, it was over, but things have changed. They really have. They've gotten much better.
If you want to do it, just go for it, because if you want to make it for a profession, go ahead. But if you, like, I need to pay bills and have health insurance. So until this takes off full time, I do it in my spare time. And what spare time I don't have, I make. So you spend evenings working on lines, production things, and then acting on the weekends. So a lot of independent directors do things on the weekends.
Any other questions?
I'm a young actor. I'm 16, and I don't have a lot of experience compared to a lot of you guys. But one question I have is, when I'm acting Indies, maybe I'm going to be featured film I'm acting in, and I've wondered, how do you transform yourself into an adult actor or a teen actor? Or any of you guys?
I wouldn't be in a hurry to do that, because so much, especially in Los Angeles, so much film acting and television is geared toward your age